All right, here's an update on Oregon. Because I told you that when the uh, when the alcohol lobby comes in and takes over, when the regulators get really big-headed and want to act like they can dictate just unreasonable amounts of regulation, it's gonna fucking cause pain in the industry. It's gonna cause pain and suffering to patients. All we care about is safe access and acceptance. That we're using medicine. Quit ostracizing us and calling us a bunch of stoners and making munchy jokes and oh ha ha ha. This shit's highly offensive, and especially the news reporting on marijuana. I want to talk about that for a second. If you like this channel, please subscribe, because I'm giving you this shit for real. I'm not on here like, oh shit, they're about to legalize marijuana in Arkansas. I guess they're gonna need some more Lay's potato chip factories and shit. Like, I don't do that shit. That's fucking bullshit. It takes a lot of intellect to come up with that kind of bullshit. No, these sensationalistic journalists that work for mainstream media or even the local fucking affiliates, they're full of shit. And 99% of them probably smoke weed. Believe me, I know these people. I talk to these kind of people all the time. Yeah, they fucking smoke weed. One time I was in Philadelphia this summer, and I was just sitting at my tent, and all of a sudden, this camera guy, I don't know, I assumed he was a reporter or a photographer for somebody. I didn't ask him, I should have. He comes up, hey, can I get a picture of you guys? We're camped out in the park at FDR Park with a bunch of rainbow people who just got back from a rainbow festival. Actually, they just got back from Cleveland because we seen them there too. But so we're camped out and we're sitting in our tent, and it's morning, and we're smoking a wake up joint. And all of a sudden, this guy just stumbles in out of nowhere, like, hey, what's up, guys? Can I take your picture? We're like, sure. He's like, can I hit that? Yeah, fuck it, go ahead. Turns out he works for MSNBC because they did a story about the campers and shit, and that was the picture they used. Either he was like a independent photographer that freelanced it and shot it over there, or maybe he even worked directly for him. But you just never know. And the point is it's just the reporters, the photographers, the artists, they all smoke weed. Why you guys got to keep doing this shitty yellow journalism, continuing the yellow journalism traditions that was started by Hearst that made marijuana illegal in the first place? Just stop doing it, man. You're being a traitor to your own cause. So we're going with Noel Crombie, the Oregonian. Marijuana businesses push back on the testing rules, and they want a delay. They want to be able to sell what they have right now. Just to simplify this all for you. And if they got stuff right now that has to go to the testing lab first, but there's no lab to send it to, or there's a line and they gotta wait, they're eating that money. They're just sitting there not making any money looking at a bunch of product. I've been there before. It's not pretty. It's the most frustrating thing in the world, especially when you're seeing people making a lot of money doing the same thing you're doing. Some makers of marijuana concentrates, extracts, and edibles are sounding dire alarms about how the state's new testing rules are holding back their products from the market and jeopardizing their businesses. They complain that the state lacks approved labs to carry out all the required testing, causing long delays, forcing them to mull layoffs, and generally leaving them out of the state's new recreational marijuana program that opened this month. The state has 18 accredited and approved labs for marijuana, and only 4 are approved to test for pesticides, a hallmark of Oregon's marijuana regulation. This pesticide thing is getting a little out of hand, man. I don't like pesticides. I don't use them. I don't use fungicides. I use all organic stuff for either of those purposes when needed. This idea that you're going to test a marijuana bud every time it goes through the system and make sure that it doesn't have trace residues of some kind of pesticide on it that's overkill. It's simply overkill. Alright, there's a fundamental failure going on here, said attorney Amy Margolis, executive director of the Oregon Cannabis Association, a trade group. I'm getting I'm getting countdown clocks from clients saying, this is how many days I have until I shut down. Seriously, this is real shit happening right now. Criticisms have pushed Oregon's pot regulators to convene a meeting Wednesday to evaluate the problems. The Oregon Liquor Control Commission, in charge of the state's recreational marijuana sales, processing and production, wants to sort fact from fiction, said the agency's executive director, Stephen Marks. Quote, we won't give up on the state's goal to have in place the most rigorously tested protocol in place in the country, Marks said Tuesday. Sounds like he's stalling. He knows that this is going to derail a lot of people and put a lot of small people under. Okay, it'll be easy next year before the industry fully adapts to new rules, he predicted. It's not going to be a perfect line, he said. There will be a lot of nips and tucks to get through it. Why don't you just tell them that, meanwhile, until we hammer it out and iron it out, we can still let you guys sell these products as is. It's absurd to act like somebody's going to get a little bit of pesticides or the THC level is going to be a little off or something. It's not going to matter. This is all just overkill. It's all bullshit. I don't get this. Oh, I do get it. They want to stall this out, kill the small people, and then move in with the big people. They have a plan to get rid of the little people, and it's an ugly plan in some of these states. You can just see where they're just going to eventually draw a line. Like, hey, if you can't meet these, standards, then you're not in, and all it really takes is money to beat any regulation. Everybody knows that. So the smaller you are, the harder you're going to have a time getting through a regulation. No one will give you a business loan so you can meet a regulation that's an astronomical amount of money. There's little consolidation in the processors. That's little consolidation to processors like Trista Okel, owner of Empower Oil, a Clackamas County-based company that makes topical products. How many tongue twisters are you going to throw at me? She said only a couple of the approved labs even returned her recent phone calls. They warned they were weeks out from being able to test her oils. Weeks out. You got patients that need the oil right now. You got oil sitting around just collecting dust. You want to get it to your patient. All your bills are piling up. And you call the lab and they're like, oh yeah, we got weeks to go before we can even get to your order, dude. Like, whoa, shit. She said she stopped making most of her line. At this point, I'm waiting to see what happens, she said. Cameron Yee, owner of Bend-based Lunchbox Alchemy and edibles and extract maker, he said he too halted production because he can't find a lab. He sounded panicked Tuesday, describing the 60,000 marijuana-infused candies in a warehouse awaiting testing. 60,000 candies. The prospect of laying off 35 employees within the week and the debt he faces if his business fails. Quote, this is not a joke, he said. We followed all of their rules. If you follow their rules, you cannot succeed. I don't think I'm going to make it out of this. This is unreal, man. This is fucking terrible. Norris Monson, CEO of Cultivated Industries, which produces and processes cannabis, said after multiple calls to labs, he's finally getting his products tested, but at a steep cost. He said producers and processors accustomed to relatively inexpensive tests under the old rules are in for sticker shock. What would have cost $125 is now into the thousands, he said. And who can afford that, Another way that they're going to cut small people out with this ridiculous testing protocol. Meanwhile, in southern Oregon, where the outdoor harvest is underway, grower Cedar Gray hasn't had time enough getting his products into the labs. He said he planned ahead and made appointments with labs well in advance. But even careful planning doesn't mean his products will make it to the market this month as he's hoped. Well, the light bills are always due, and so are the damn mortgage payments and the taxes and car payments and insurance and phone bills and everything else that costs money when you're doing business, because that's the way it is, man. Reinvesting in the business, all of this requires you to turn the revenue from what you've already made as a producer. This is just terrible. It's like people are doing economic hitman assassinations on these businesses, just taking them right out, man. It's sad And it's unbelievable that they can't just say, well, you know, you guys continue to do what you're doing until we get this sorted out, until we get our fucking shit together. Ultimately, Gray, whose company is called Siskiyou Sungrown, expects to make the transition to the new market, but he thinks a lot of small businesses with solid financial backing, or without solid financial backing, will wash out. It's like the gold rush, he said. There's a lot of speculation and people coming into the business without business experience. To some degree, it's not surprising that many of these businesses will fail as things get more competitive. Yeah, the small guy that knows what he's doing and takes care and precision in doing it right, he's the one that's going to fail, because some big giant idiot's going to come around and be like, oh, me, I'm going to make a bunch of money off of marijuana. And it's disgusting, man. I'm getting so sick of it. Every state that's writing laws, every laws that were already there are getting taken over and rewritten, and it's just we're slowly starting to see what we're doing is we're relying on the government to try to change their malfeasance of making laws, which basically created a war against people based on a plant, and now they're trying to work us a deal where they're the ones selling us the weed too now. I don't think so, dude. I think we can handle this, quit this bullshit, and, I don't know, that's all I gotta say.